MMA Fighting presents Timeline, Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. July 7th, 2016, UFC Fight Night 90, Dos Anjos versus Alvarez, Las Vegas, Nevada. The 9-0 Belal Muhammad makes his UFC debut against welterweight striker Alan Jouban. Jouban wins by decision, dropping Muhammad to 9-1. The fight is awarded Fight of the Night honors. Muhammad would return to the cage the following September and defeat Augusto Montano by third round ground and pound TKO at UFC Fight Night 94, Poirier vs. Johnson in Hidalgo, Texas. November 12, 2016, UFC 205, Alvarez vs. McGregor, New York, New York. Muhammad is booked on the undercard of the blockbuster UFC event at Madison Square Garden against Vicente Luque.
170.
Belal Muhammad weighs in at 170 pounds. He was originally supposed to fight another New York-born fighter, Lyman Good. Lyman Good pulled from the fight due to a potential USADA violation, so now he will be fighting Vicente Luque on Saturday night.
Muhammad suffers his first finish loss of his career as Luque wins by TKO a little over a minute in round 1. The loss drops Muhammad's UFC record to 1-2.
I thought it was going to be 3 rounds because Belal Muhammad, he's a tough guy. I saw his first fight in the UFC with Alan Jouban. He was knocked down 4 times and came back. So I was ready to go 3 rounds. I mean, he's a tough guy, and my hand connected and I hit hard and he couldn't get up, so it worked out for me.
February 11th, 2017, UFC 208, Holm versus Durandamy, Brooklyn, New York. Muhammad returns to the Big Apple and on super short notice to face Randy Brown in Brooklyn. Muhammad, the betting underdog, wins by decision. July 8th, 2017, UFC 213, Romero versus Whitaker, Las Vegas, Nevada. Belal Muhammad is booked in his 5th UFC fight against Canadian striker Jordan Meehan. Muhammad wins by decision.
I'm one of those guys that gets stronger toward the end, in later rounds, so I knew that anybody I go against is gonna fade whenever they're going against me in the later rounds. I'm always gonna have more energy than them. But like I could see it in his eyes when his coach was yelling something and he's not really executing what the coach is yelling. So like I saw I had him, so I just knew that I just needed to work to finish a little more.
Muhammad would follow this victory up with a split decision victory over Tim Means at UFC Fight Night 121, Verdum versus Tybura in Australia, and a unanimous decision victory over Chance Rencounter at UFC Fight Night 131, Rivera versus Moraes in Utica, New York. January 19th, 2019, UFC on ESPN Plus 1, Cejudo versus Dillashaw, Brooklyn, New York. Muhammad is booked once again to fight in New York, this time against heavy-handed striker Jeff Neal. Neal defeats Muhammad by decision, snapping Muhammad's 4-fight win streak. April 13th, 2019, UFC 236, Holloway versus Poirier 2, Atlanta, Georgia. Belal Muhammad is set to face the 17-4 Curtis Millender. Muhammad wins the fight by decision.
This is now 5 of your last 6. Where do you feel like you fall in this division?
Man, honestly, I keep saying I want to fight the ranked guys. None of these ranked guys want to take fights. All these guys are using their ranking as a way to turn down fights. But like me, man, I'm ready to fight anybody. Like people are telling me, why did I take the Jeff Neal fight? Because I want to fight these exciting guys. I want to fight these up-and-comers. I want to show that I'm the best in the world. So I want to fight all the best guys in the world. And whether I come out on top or bottom, I still think I'm the best in the world. I still think I'll be, at the end of the day, I won't be one of the best to ever walk in that cage. It's more frustrating just because the guys are just use rankings as an excuse not to fight. Like I'm like, in the old days, if you're on a streak, you're gonna fight a guy on a streak. If you like, rankings don't matter in the old days. Like, oh, this guy's on a 3-fight streak. All right, let's fight this guy on a 5-fight streak. Bam, that's a great fight. Or these 2 guys are exciting fighters. Let's put them together. Nowadays, you call a guy, wait, what's his ranking? I don't want to fight him, man. That's not a smart fight for me. Everybody's trying to think about it too much in a business standpoint, man. Fans like fights. Be a fighter, man. If you're a real fighter, you'll fight anybody any day. Me, you call me, I'm ready to go. I answer the phone, pack my mouthpiece, and ready to go.
September 7th, 2019, UFC 242, Khabib versus Poirier, Abu Dhabi. Belal Muhammad is booked in his first international fight in Abu Dhabi opposite Japanese fighter Takashi Sato. Muhammad wins impressively by rear naked choke in round 3. The stoppage victory helps Muhammad take home his second performance bonus of his UFC run.
It showed me that I'm on a bigger stage than I thought I was at first. You know, it's a huge thing out there, and I have a voice, so I want to be able to start using that more now. And I feel like I'm starting to become a household name where a lot more people all around the world are gonna start realizing who I am. I feel like this was a statement win. I knew I needed to get a finish to make it a statement win, and that finish said it. So I knew I was gonna go out there and put on a show for the fans, the beautiful crowd. And like you said, they didn't put me in open workouts. They didn't put me on the main card. I made my own open workout. I went to the mall. I had fans lining up to take pictures with me, so I did my own thing. I'm not gonna sit there and pout and be like, oh man, poor me, poor me. I'm gonna go out there and make my own fan, make my own time, go out there, get on social media, and then get my own name out there. I don't need the UFC to push my name out there. I'll push my own name out there, and then the UFC will start hopping on the bandwagon with me.
Muhammad would follow that victory up with a unanimous decision over Lyman Good at UFC Fight Night Blades vs. Volkov at the UFC Apex. The following February, Muhammad would go on to defeat Diego Lima by unanimous decision at UFC 258 Usman vs. Burns inside the Apex.
So then, as a welterweight, what do you make of someone like Hamzat, who's 3-0? I think he fought a middleweight and then a welterweight, who's usually a lightweight, and then another welterweight, or then another middleweight. And now he's sitting at 15 at welterweight all of a sudden. So, and you're obviously fought a welterweight your whole career. What do you think of when you see that?
That's what I'm saying. That's the game we're in right now. It's like whoever picks up that momentum faster. So like it's all about momentum in this game. Who could put the best performances together the fastest? That's the guy who's gonna get picked up. You know, like he's hot right now. Well, he was hot, but now he's like sizzling off because you know, I hope he gets better. I feel for the guy. You know, he was riding a good streak. They gave him a freak on Leon Edwards, but this sport's all about momentum. It's all about what have you done for me lately? And he was that hot guy right now. So now that he's gonna be out for a while, so now somebody else needs to step in. And I want to be that new welterweight. Like they were talking about him, like, oh, who's gonna be the champion? And I was seeing freaking Hamza in there, and I'm like, 2021. And I'm like, yo, I need to be on that list. That's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. If I have to go through every single one of them one by one, I'll do it, man. I want these guys to keep underestimating me.
March 13th, 2021. UFC Fight Night, Edwards vs. Muhammad, Las Vegas, Nevada. Belal Muhammad is booked in his first UFC main event and is set to face the 18-3 Leon Edwards as Muhammad steps in on short notice.
Not a lot of people want to fight you, Leon, let alone fight you on short notice. Were you surprised that Belal took the fight on short notice, and do you think it's a smart move on his part?
I wasn't surprised. He's just fought a month ago, so he's in shape, you know, and it's his first main event, so it's a big opportunity for him to step up and fight a guy like me. So I wasn't surprised really, and I think the short camp for him, he probably bad. He's just for orthodox and southpaw, and I'm totally a different fighter from the last guy he fought, and I've been preparing for his style for the last since about 6 months. So I'm looking forward to it and can't wait.
Yeah, you know, there's not no bad blood or anything like that, but like I always say, man, whenever I'm fighting, you should always be rooting for me because I'm the way better guy, the way nicer guy, and I'm a lot funnier than him. And I just have a better personality. Like, who doesn't want to see the funny guy win? But no, like in the end, like I feel like this is gonna be a great fight, and the better man that's gonna come out winning is gonna be the one that's gonna take off next. This is a huge fight because the guy who wins this, their life's gonna change. Because Dana White already promised a title fight to him if he wins spectacularly. So if I win, I'm gonna get that title fight. I'm gonna take that title fight, and then all the people that were torn between me or him, they're all going to be jumping on this bandwagon. Yeah, I mean, in the end, like we're prize fighters. These guys these guys are forgetting about that, man. When you're sitting there on the smaller circuits and you were dreamed about making it to the UFC, that was your goal, is to make it to the UFC. You took any fight that was in front of you. You're willing to fight anybody. And you're sitting there fighting for peanuts. Now that you're in the UFC, you're getting a little more money. Like you're forgetting what you were in this game for from the beginning, to be the best, to be the champion. And to be the best, you have to beat the best, and you have to fight the best guys, all the best guys. Everybody's nowadays, they're sitting there picking and choosing who they want to fight, the right move, the right mode, the right guy to take, the right timing to take the fight. For me, I could beat anybody in this division. I know I'm good enough to beat anybody in this division. I know I could be a champion in this division. So that's why I'm willing to say yes to anybody. So I'm not afraid of fighting anybody.
After a competitive first round, the fight ends with an accidental eye poke by Edwards early into round 2. The fight is ruled a no contest.
Man, honestly, literally, I thought I was blind. I thought I was like, I was like moving my eye around, you know, when you're trying to move your eye around, and I couldn't see nothing but black, and I tried to close my other eye and just like hope I could see something, and I couldn't see absolutely nothing. And then like literally, it was more so from there. It was like I knew the fight was gonna be over, and like that's honestly what broke my heart the most. Because like literally, like, you know, that's where you work your whole career for, to get to that moment, and my life literally could have changed with that fight. I could have beat him, and we could have been fighting for a title next. You know, like that's life-changing. That was a life-changing moment for me and my family. And a lot of things could have changed, and like it literally all was just like snatched away with a freaking eye poke. And I was like I wasn't really overly thinking about, man, what the fudge is the matter with my eye? Like I don't care, but it was just like I knew the fight was gonna be over, and that's literally like what like shattered my dreams type thing. That's honestly what like pissed me off the most, just because he was like looking past it, not worried about it. At that moment, he was like felt bad, but then like he looked past. Like I could have been sitting there in the hospital blind, and my career could have been over, and he wasn't even thinking about it. But yeah, that like he's sitting there going on like he was doing like a press tour, like he freaking won the fight, and you know I'm back. I need the title fight, acting like that's the thing. He thinks like he's owed all this stuff, and that's why I feel people like do not like him. But like I said, he's the one who literally committed the foul. He's the one who was warned, and he's the one who messed up. So like out of like man to man, out of respect, if you're a freaking real fighter, like you would be like, well, I messed up. Let me own up to it. Here, I'll give you your rematch. If, like you said, Dana White literally said, if he beats me, he gets the title shot. Well, the title is already on the line with somebody else, so you obviously need a fight unless you're going to sit out another 600 days. But like this fight literally makes the most sense because we literally had a fight. It was unfinished business. Dana said, you win, you get the title shot. So why wouldn't you want to take this fight? You want to sit there and train for somebody else, look at somebody else. But this fight honestly makes the most sense if you're really thinking about it. For me, like I said, I look at stuff realistically, and I'm not sitting there trying to sit there and blow my own horn or anything like that, where I feel like I deserve this or I deserve that. Obviously, before this week happened, obviously I wasn't in the spot to fight Leon Edwards or to be in that fight a top 5 guy. But I stepped up. I took the fight on 3 weeks notice. Nobody else was willing to step up and fight a main event, a 5-round fight, train after coming off a fight. I did all of that. I'm the one who did that. So I earned this spot. I earned this rematch just because I was literally the only one that stepped up, and it was like taken out of my hands from a foul that he committed.
June 12th, 2021. UFC 263 Adesanya versus Vettori 2, Glendale, Arizona. Still riding a 4-fight win streak, Muhammad is set to face former title contender and grappling legend Damian Maia.
He's still a huge name, a great name, big name, and he's a legend respected by all fighters. And to have a guy like that on my resume before he retires is gonna be great. And like literally, you know, you have a million people, oh, he's 42, yada, yada, end of his career, but he's literally 3-1 out of his last 4. And he literally almost beat Gilbert Burns. He had him in a bad spot, mounted him, took his back. So it's like, he's still dangerous. So I'm not looking past him.
We can't have you up here without bringing it up. A lot's going on overseas. I think you're probably the kind of the face of in the UFC for like speaking out about what's happening in Palestine and everything. So has that been a distraction at all to you with people approaching you, or even your mindset being on what's going on over there?
You know, it's one of those things where it's like you literally get depressed just going on social media because you see it, and that's where you get the real news is from social media nowadays. But for me, it motivates me because it shows me that I'm fighting for something more, knowing that those people are looking up to me and knowing that like a win for me is a win for them. So I just want to give these people something to cheer about, something to be happy about, whether it's for one day or 1 week, that I know that my win is their win.
Muhammad soundly dominates the aging veteran by decision.
Who's next after a guy like Damon?
I mean, I was hoping Diaz would have knocked out Leon, so I would have got that rematch. But now obviously I want something that makes sense. I want to look upward. I'm thinking definitely somebody in the top 10. I would definitely want that Vicente Luque fight back. So if I get that one, that'll work out perfectly.
I know you had to get stitched up because it took you a little bit, but you did get to watch this fight. What was your thoughts on this fight?
My thoughts on that, I would have broken. He was ready to break in that 5th round, and that was Diaz playing 90% of the rest of the fight. Like me, I would have stayed in his face the whole time. I would have broken Leon for sure.
December 18th, 2021. UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Dawkins, Las Vegas, Nevada. Muhammad is set to face top-ranked veteran striker and 2-time welterweight title challenger, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. The betting underdog uses his superior grappling skills and wins a workmanlike unanimous decision.
Another upset in this one, and a fairly big upset at this one that none of us called. And I think if we're being honest, I think an upset that none of us even really expected. You had Belal Muhammad going out there and just dominating Stephen Thompson, putting the wood to him, pillar to post. It was never close. Fight was never in doubt. You had 30-25s on the board, 30-26s, just total domination. You had 7 takedowns to 0, nearly 12 minutes of controlled time in a 15-minute fight. Wow, man. Like, Belal Muhammad has been waiting for his big breakout moment, and I think we finally just saw it. Jose, what do you make of what is easily the biggest win of this guy's career?
Caught me by surprise. I think I picked, if my words are correct, I thought Stephen Thompson was going to cruise to what did I say? Like 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 30-27 across the board. I think I referenced like Belal Muhammad wins a lot of decisions, loses to a lot of guys in the top 5. Wonderboy's been in the top 5 for so long. Feel like 3-round fights going into decision in a fight that Stephen Thompson is involved in. Normally, he's the one that's winning. I know he just lost to Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns is really, really good. And I thought Belal Muhammad was a top 15 welterweight, but not a top 7 welterweight. So Belal Muhammad proved me wrong. The biggest upset decision-wise, most dominant upset I can think of in a long time in MMA in terms of, like you said, that was just a shutout. I know we've seen
30-25, man, 30-25.
Biggest win of my career, I feel like, and I always knew I was top 5, but now I could say that I really am top 5. I think it makes a huge statement. Nobody's ever been able to do that to him, and to get a 30-25 on anybody, especially a guy like Wonderboy who's fought for the title twice, who's been a staple in the top 5 in everybody's rankings, not even just the UFC rankings, the worldwide rankings. He's always top 5, and he's a guy that everybody's afraid to fight because of, nobody wants to deal with that puzzle. Nobody wants to try to figure that puzzle out. Nobody wants to have to go through a camp of wondering and figuring out what's Wonderboy going to throw at you or do to you. And I went in there and I just put that all to rest. And the way I beat him, nobody can take that away from me.
January 22nd, 2022. UFC 270, Ngannou versus Gane, Anaheim, California. After beginning his professional fighting career with 2 straight stoppage losses, the Australian, Jack Della Maddalena, makes his UFC debut on the early prelims on a UFC pay-per-view in Southern California. The heavy betting favorite quickly disposes of Pete Rodriguez midway through round 1 by knockout.
Congratulations on the victory. Leading into this fight, I think I read a headline saying you wanted to put a masterclass performance for your UFC debut. So is that about as perfect as you can for a debut like that?
Yeah, that's obviously always the plan. I'll have to obviously go back and take a look, and then I'll assess it.
But overall, pretty pleased with how it played out.
Definitely happy with the performance. The win was obviously the most important thing, so getting the win is awesome, and then just I guess we'll go back to the drawing board to see what we can improve for next time.
April 16th, 2022. UFC Fight Night, Luque versus Muhammad 2, Las Vegas, Nevada. Belal Muhammad gets the opportunity to avenge an early knockout loss of his UFC career by facing Vicente Luque in a rematch at the UFC Apex. This time, it will be as the 25-minute main event.
When you look at Vicente Luque, Belal Muhammad, which of them is more likely, do you feel like, to break into that top 3 that we currently have going, a Kamaru, Colby, Hamzat, and actually be competitive, actually be somebody that can make a difference in there?
Luque. I think that's obvious, right? Like, look, God,
It doesn't sound like you're very high on
fighter.
Belal. I'm not gonna lie.
I love him. Great fighter. He is Neil Magny 2.0. Like he is just gonna be Neil Magny when Neil Magny retires. Like, or they're just gonna concurrently be the Neil Magny guy who's really well skilled, competitive, tough out for anybody, never gonna fight for a title, and that's okay. Most people don't end up fighting for titles and can still make a quality career out of being one of the 10 best people in the world at their profession. That is a thing that we do not celebrate enough in this sport, frankly. Belal Muhammad is one of those. But he is, I would be very surprised if he ever fought for a UFC belt. I think winning against Luque is paramount to him doing that, because otherwise I don't see him. I think a loss here sets him back probably further than Luque, just because Luque is so dynamic and so exciting that a couple of wins can get him in the conversation, whereas a loss here really puts Belal like 5 wins back because he wins them all by quality decision. So, I think Luque is the more dynamic, more exciting, more interesting fighter. I think he's the better fighter. I think he has much better offense, and those are the things that usually coincide with somebody making a real run towards the top 3, towards a title fight, that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to denigrate Belal Muhammad, but to me, it's just he is not some rising prospect who we don't know the things about. Belal's 33 years old. Like, we know the cake is baked. We know what kind of a fighter he is, and that fighter is damn good, but it's pretty clearly limited. And, I think this is probably around where he's capped as far as his upward mobility is.
The betting underdog once again defies the odds and evens up the series with a dominant decision victory, snapping Luque's 4-fight win streak.
I was absolutely flabbergasted. I mean, I said this, I agreed with our own Damon Martin on the preview show that, if you want to call Vicente Luque one, if not the most exciting fighter on planet Earth, I'm not going to argue with that. And I said Belal Muhammad is very good. I just think Vicente Luque is better everywhere. And my God, did Belal Muhammad prove me? I'm not even going to say prove me wrong. He proved everyone on the site wrong, essentially. I don't think anyone picks Belal Muhammad to win. I thought Vicente Luque, he lost the first couple rounds. I thought he was going to go in there and just blast him, maybe get a Darce choke on a lazy shot from Belal Muhammad. But Belal Muhammad, just 7-8 wins in a row and is 1 win away from a UFC welterweight title shot. That is not something I had on my bingo board for 2022, but good on you, Belal Muhammad. You proved everyone wrong. And
yeah, you mentioned the picks. I mean, I'm just breaking the fourth wall here. Internally, we have a little Slack room where we make our picks. And I think there's maybe 8 or 10 of us in there, and there was not a single person tonight who picked Belal Muhammad. Not one. Everybody. Vicente Luque across the board, and I think a lot of people out there in the MMA land just generally were following suit.
First, incredible effort from Belal, and take nothing away from him. Second, I don't know, maybe I was just wrong about Vicente Luque. This, it looked like he went back to Michael Graves, coming off tough, can't defend any sort of a takedown. And I don't know what the stats are. I'm not looking at him, but Belal had to have landed 95% of his takedowns in that fight. He did not fail when he was trying to take the fight to the mat. And on the feet, I thought in that third round, Luque was going to come on strong. He had started to build momentum, but he just kind of never built off that. And Belal straight out worked him. So great performance from Belal. It doesn't change my opinion on his ceiling, frankly, other than by one spot. I think I had him, right below, and he's going to go up in front of Luque. I still don't think he's going to beat the guys at the top of the division, but incredible performance. You can't take anything away from that.
June 11th, 2022. UFC 275 Teixeira versus Prochazka, Singapore. Jack Della Maddalena is set to face the Russian Ramazan Ameev on the pay-per-view main card in Singapore. JDM moves to 2-0 in the UFC with his second straight stoppage victory, this time by a first-round finish via a nasty liver shot. With the win, Della Maddalena earns his first performance bonus.
It was awesome, no one's ever stopped Ramazan. That was the goal, and to be able to get that goal, it's goal accomplished, on to the next.
What's the ceiling for JDM, Sean?
I mean, after a night like this, it feels pretty high, right? You don't want to. I mean, it's one performance, so you don't want to get lost on it. But I mean, Ramzan Ameev is pretty legit. See, he trucked through him like it was nothing. Like he trucked through them. He trucked through that man in like 2 minutes. That to me says a lot. That's not somebody who gets finished in 2 minutes. The ceiling feels pretty high right now. We haven't seen a lot, so it's hard to. Yeah, I'm not going to proclaim him a future champion, but he seems like someone who's going to be a figure that matters at 170. Certainly.
Yeah.
If he's in the top 10 in 2023, would not be surprised.
Yeah. What do you think, Jed? I mean, listen,
it's a long way to go.
Wasn't just a guy, like not a lot of people go out there and finish Ramzan Ameev in 2 minutes. Nobody in the UFC has finished this man. It's the first time he's been finished in the UFC.
Yeah.
So what do you think his ceiling is?
I think he's off. I feel really confident saying he'll be a top 10 fighter. I don't think he'll be a top 10 fighter next year just because welterweight is a really difficult division to break into. Not that he couldn't compete with some of those guys by next year, but just Jorge Masvidal doesn't fight good guys, but but maintains like that ranking. So it just it's really tough to make hay there. But yeah, maybe challenges for a title. He'll need more development, but I mean, he's got a lot of great traits. Big paws in the puppy. He's doing great. Kid's gonna be a guy to watch.
I love anyone who has like an easily discernible A+ skill, and his boxing is just so good. And it's like, again, one A+ skill. Again, I'm against the mixing of the martial arts. You guys know that. So seeing someone who has one A+ skill to fall back on, that can take you a long way. And some decent grappling defense. He's got a judo background, which is always kind of funky. Gives you a little bit of a kind of something to play around with, defensively. So I like that. But I mean, when you have a guy who right now in any fight, it looks like he has a chance to keep things sort of in boxing range. Boy, that's exciting. That's really fun to watch.
I love dudes who rip rib roasters, and that man.
That's the thing.
That's the skill that gets me all hot and bothered. It's like, ooh, that's what's up.
And he's got some heart too. He's got heart too. He was in deep trouble. That finish was on tight.
Yep.
And he just overpowered it, just ripped the arm right off and got up, and that was it.
Plus, you can't break his nose because it's already clearly been shattered. He's got that Andrei Arlovsky squash nose, so he's never going to worry about breaking it mid-fight and then having to deal with that. He's golden. You got ahead of the curve.
If you ever run into somebody whose profile as a side profile is just flat, don't start shit with that person.
Stay away.
Don't it's going to be a bad time.
Yeah, it's like cauliflower ears. Like, cool, I'm going to go the other way.
Della Maddalena would go on to knock out British fighter Danny Roberts at UFC Vegas and Nzechukwu versus Kuchalaba in November 2022 to move his UFC record to 3-0 with 3 straight finishes and back-to-back performance bonuses. All I want to talk about is Jack Della and the silkiest hands at welterweights. Picture perfect matchmaking for the UFC. You accomplished everything you wanted to here, and now you're going to throw this man onto a pay-per-view card in front of a capacity crowd that's going to be all cheering for him in Perth against a top 20, 25-ish guy, maybe even higher. You accomplished everything. The only thing you could have done better is when you lost Eric Lewis, you just threw him in that spot, and that's how the card ended. And I think, not that we don't have an okay feeling with Kennedy finishing the fight the way that he did and cutting that promo, but Jack Della going out there and just whooping on Danny Roberts, who's tough. He beat the hell out of Danny Roberts. That would have been a nice way to end this card and just give him as much of a rub as possible. But other than that, I got no complaints. This guy's the real deal, Jed Meshew. The silkiest hands at welterweight. I like that.
It might be true. I got no real issues with that statement. Dude's got mitts. I don't know any part of the rest of his game because we have never seen it. He just does the same thing over and over, which is box everybody's ears in the first round. But that's good. We gave him enough of these fights. Let's give him somebody who's really going to test his mettle a little bit, and let's see what we got cooking with this boy.
Yeah. There's a lot of good matchups for him available, I think, right now.
October 22nd, 2022. UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev, Abu Dhabi. Once again, as a betting underdog, Belal Muhammad is set to face undefeated rising prospect and grappling phenom Sean Brady as the featured prelim of the pay-per-view event.
I've been in the UFC. I've been undefeated before, and I know what it feels like. Obviously, he probably has all the confidence in the world. He's just coming off a big win against top 6 guys. So the way that he tried to call it out on Twitter, acting like he could beat me and all this other stuff, that's what motivates me more. Because when people do that, when people talk trash, the last 3 guys that I fought, they were all more so very nice, very respectful, the nicest guys in the world. Damian Maia, Wonder Boy, Luque, like so nice. So it feels good to have somebody that I don't like. That, all right, you call it out, you called me out, you're saying I'm running, you're saying I'm doing this, blah, 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 trying to talk all this big game. Now all that talk, you gotta show me now Saturday. And, be careful what you wish for.
What was it like having Khabib in your camp for this fight?
It was amazing. It was the guy that, you look up to, a guy that I think of as the GOAT, the best fighter to ever do it. And I'm training side by side with who I think is the best lightweight in the world, and Makhachev. And he's not small. He's not a small guy. And if you even look at the other guys in the room, like their whole room is full of killers. And I'm looking at these guys like, oh, this kid's 20 years old. He's not in the UFC. And the way he's going, he's amazing. Their grappling is good. Their striking is good. Every single one of them is not trying to lose a round, not trying to lose a second. So it just brought a different competitiveness to the practices, a competitiveness to myself, and it changed my mindset. So knowing that there's guys like that out there, I'm like, bro, I need to get this title and get the fudge out of this game.
Well, to kind of add more gasoline to the fire for Sean, we asked him about you having Khabib in your corner, and his response was, Khabib's not undefeated as a cornerman. So I'd like your response to that.
That has nothing to do with it. That was a stupid response. That's why I hate Philadelphia. Like, because they say stupid things.
In a breakout performance, Muhammad dominates Brady and finishes him with strikes late into round 2. The victory earns Muhammad a UFC performance bonus.
That man just came out and got the kind of win that he had not had before, right? Like, what has been the thing around Belal Muhammad this whole past year? Is, hey, he's a boring guy who doesn't, he's not a real contender. He's this guy who's sort of getting by on smoke and mirrors and all of this stuff. Like, tonight in general was just a night of people who have generally had people doubt them most of their careers, really flipping the script on it in a really interesting way. Like, I kind of enjoyed just the running theme throughout a lot of these fights. But Belal Muhammad, more so than anyone, was just he came out. True. He came out here and got the exact type of statement win that everyone told him he couldn't get. And once again, getting doubted. I sent out a tweet earlier of, like, if you had parlayed, just somehow hypothetically been able to do this, parlay Belal's last 3 fights where he's been the underdog in all of them, and you just put $100 on him, you would have won like $1,800 or something like that. Like, the level to which nobody has believed in this Belal Muhammad run has been frankly stunning. And the fact that he was able to come out here and, once again, underdog, lose almost type of fight where he's fighting this big, strong, powerful up-and-comer who's just a very tough stylistic match for him. And I've seen 1,000 previews and whatever picks this past week, and I don't know that I've seen anybody in the world pick Belal Muhammad. And once again, he came out here and got it done. And again, the exact type of win that was lacking on his resume. If I'm in the UFC, I'm absolutely throwing Belal Muhammad against Khamzat Chimaev in a number 1 contender fight on that Perth card or wherever. Like, no, not the Perth card, but the Leon Edwards card, the London card. Like, that's the move. He is now the number 1 contender. If Colby's not going to sit out, if Colby's just going to sit out and not accept fights and not fight real contenders in this division, I don't see why you need to reward him with a number 1 contender fight. It feels like Belal versus Khamzat is the fight, and I hope that's what gets done.
It was one thing to be training with Khabib and his team throughout this whole fight camp, but what was it like to finally actually have him in your corner during a fight?
It was amazing. It was like a different type of energy. He saw a lot of things, and he clicked well with my other coaches. It wasn't like he felt like he was the one in charge now. He was like, yo, coach, what do you have to say? What does this have to say? And then he was just pushing to me the whole time. We have to finish him. We have to finish him. We have to finish him. These are your people. This is your crowd. They're here for you. You have to go out there and put on a performance for the ages. And I did it. And even in that second round, he kept screaming to me, he's breaking, he's breaking, he's breaking, he's breaking, he's breaking. And, you want to have those people around you in your corner because they see different things that you see inside. And for a guy like him who sees everything, and he was seeing it, my other coaches were seeing it, we made adjustments where we're like, all right, go up the middle now instead of wide with my punches. And those uppercuts were landing a lot more, uppercut to over the hand, and that's what caught him.
And you obviously called out Khamzat at the end, the big bad wolf. Is it that or the title shot next? Are those the 2 fights you want moving forward?
yeah, I think those are the only two that make sense. I feel like, what else do you need from me? I just, like I said, this is the 4th top 10 guy I'm fighting. Me and Leon have unfinished business. That fight ended because of him. I took it on short notice. Obviously, Usman, I do feel deserves a rematch, but if he's going to take some time off to let his brain heal, let him do that and let me and Leon fight. Other than that, I want to be on that card and I want to be fighting the next best guy. I definitely do think I need the Leon fight back. I've been wanting that fight, been calling for that fight. Even with that fight, it was like people were saying that you didn't. I took that fight on like a week notice, and it was a main event. So people don't understand that coming off of a fight with Lima and then running into that camp with him, and it's like you go from a righty to a southpaw. There's no training for that camp. So like, give me a full camp to fight this guy, and it's a different story. And that fight was only 1 round. So for Leon to always say that, well, the rest of the fight was going to go that way. Look at his fight that he just had with Usman. He was losing 4 rounds, and then he ended up winning in the 5th round. So that's the fight game. So when people come up with that narrative, like, oh, you're going to lose anyway, that's just stupid. And little things like that, that's what pisses me off and makes me angry.
February 11th, 2023, UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski, Perth, Western Australia. Jack Della Maddalena is booked in his highest profile UFC bout to date, a main card slot on pay-per-view in his hometown of Perth, opposite Randy Brown.
Yeah, he's a good, challenging opponent. He's extremely tall. He's been in the game a lot, fought some of the top guys in the division. So yeah, I'm excited to challenge myself. I think I can beat him, and yeah, that's what I'm coming to do.
Do you feel like you're overlooked in this division as a prospect?
Not really. I think I've had a few fights. I think, yeah, hopefully after this fight, they'll be right in there with those guys and hopefully competing with one of those guys soon.
So Monday morning here, after the fight, what does the headline say? How does this fight play out?
I think I'm going to put on, my plan is put on a masterclass, you know, go in there, not be hit and damage Randy from the get-go.
JDM takes full advantage of the opportunity and finishes Randy Brown by 1st round submission. JDM remains undefeated inside the UFC octagon and takes home his 3rd consecutive performance bonus.
It was the style that he does a lot. Like, I watched a lot of his fights and he gets pushed up against the cage and then just sort of cruises out. He did it to me a few times and I just waited for him to cruise out and I hit him with a hard shot and went down. I hit him a few times and I thought I was landing, and then he turned and gave his neck. So I know how to choke someone, so I just jumped on it.
Jack Della Maddalena, Shaheen Al-Shadi. This guy's the real, is he not? What a performance.
Ooh, my goodness, this man is for real, Mike Hague. For real. Yeah, no one does that to Randy Brown. Like no one's ever done that to Randy Brown. Like, he's gotten finished. He's never gotten finished that fast. Like, Jackie 3 Names is just out of control with how good he's been so far in the UFC, right? Like, this is 4 fights in a row now, 4 first-round stoppages, and like, it's starting to be against really good competition. And that's the type of fight, that's the type of special performance that we saw tonight that elevates you instantly into that. You take that elevator ride to the top 15 matchups. Like, you do not have to do the thing where we waste our time giving you 5 different matchups, 7 different matchups to see if you're ready for the top 15. Like, nah, he's going to be fighting a top 15 guy next, and he should be. And I'm so hyped for it. Like, I wouldn't put him yet, like, because 170 is an interesting spot, right? Where there's a lot of old war horses sort of mulling about the top, milling around, still kind of waiting for their 1st or 2nd or 3rd shot. And this is a log jam division for the most part for a while now. But then also you just have this other side of this division where you got the Shavkat, you got the Hamzat, and now I throw Matalena in the same group. I wouldn't put him quite yet with those two. Those two to me are still at a level above, but I have all the confidence in the world tonight that he can reach that type of level. Like, this was a statement victory if I've ever seen one, and I am so in on this guy. This guy is hyper violent, and man, if I'm at 170, if I'm one of those old war horses at 170, I am not trying to fight that man. Absolutely not.
Della Maddalena is then booked as the co-main event at the UFC Apex card, headlined by Holly Holm versus Mayra Bueno Silva against top 10 ranked Sean Brady. But Brady is forced to pull out and is replaced by UFC debutant Basel Hafez. JDM wins the fight by split decision and takes home his 1st Fight of the Night performance bonus. May 6th, 2023. UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo, Newark, New Jersey. After an injury to Charles Oliveira scratches the original co-main event for the pay-per-view card against Beneil Dariush, on a little over 2 weeks' notice, the UFC announces that Belal Muhammad will face Gilbert Burns in the new 5-round co-main event.
I was just sitting there minding my own business, chilling in Toronto, and then all of a sudden I get a call and they ask me if you want to fight. And you know me, I love to fight. So I was excited for the opportunity. It was a huge opportunity and I just couldn't say no. So got right back to work, called my coaches, called my team. We all said, let's do it. And I'm ready. I mean, most important thing most of the time when you have a fight is where's your mentality at? Where's your mind at? Because you could sit there and train your body for 8 weeks, feel the best you can feel. And then if you just feel something trigger in your head, something where you don't feel right, like the whole fight, the whole camp will be worth nothing. So during Ramadan, my mind is the strongest it's ever been. Spiritually, mentally, like it just puts me on a whole different level. So to know that my mental game was 100%, I didn't care what my body game was. I didn't care what the weight cut was. I didn't care what the rounds were because I knew mentally I could get through anything. And I know that for me, like it's all about God's plan. And I felt like God put me in that position at that right time to be in that right shape for this one moment, because this moment right here is where careers are made, where legendary stories are told. And to be able to do that off of that, I want people to sit there and be like, how? What did you do? What are you taking? There's nothing that nobody could deny me for after I win this fight Saturday night.
And according to both guys and even Dana White at the press conference yesterday, the winner of this fight will go on to fight for the UFC welterweight title in their next fight. Whether that is true or not remains to be seen. But Jose, your thoughts on this co-main event matchup on less than 3 weeks' notice between Gilbert Burns and Belal Muhammad?
I mean, I like the fight as a fight, but like obviously, realistically, Belal Muhammad should have already gotten the title shot, and I'm never not gonna watch Gilbert Burns fight. So I like this fight as a high-level martial arts fight, and I am ecstatic that it's a 5-round fight because I think number one contender fights should all be 5-round fights. That being said, I think, like, if you're going to ask me who has the most to win or most to lose in this fight, the answer is very clearly Belal Muhammad. It's more obvious than when you asked me about the main event, and I chose Aljamain Sterling because Belal Muhammad has talked he's done a lot of guest fighter media scrums. He's talked a lot on Twitter. He's at press conferences saying, oh, no wonder the Nets left New Jersey for Brooklyn and this and that. He is not liked by the fans, unfortunately, and as he said, if I win this fight and you're still a hater, you're just always going to be a hater. It doesn't help that he's fighting one of the more fan-friendly in terms of action in Gilbert Burns. The man, this is his third fight of 2023, and if he wasn't going to wait for the title, if he wins this fight, I can very easily see a world where Gilbert Burns fights 5-6 times in 2023. That man always wants to fight, and he's always in very exciting fights. And obviously, the Hamzat fight's one of the best fights you'll ever see, ever. And then Neil Magny, he just kind of tore through, and then he retired Jorge Masvidal. Belal Muhammad beats Gilbert Burns, it will be the biggest win of his career. He'll get his number one contender. He'll do something that Hamzat's done and Kamaru Usman has done at welterweight. Unless I'm forgetting someone, those are the only two guys to beat Gilbert Burns at welterweight. Belal Muhammad has lost to Leon Edwards after getting stabbed in the eye. Outside of that, he's beaten everyone put in front of him. And I feel like he's one of those guys that it kind of reminds me of when the UFC would make Jan Blachowicz, where they would give him these guys where, oh, if you beat Jan, you'll get a title shot, like Sean Brady, Vicente Luque, Stephen Thompson, like all these guys. They just really want them to, the UFC wants them to beat Belal and then go on to a title shot. And Belal just kind of grinds them into the canvas and picks up a win. And then they're like, oh, what can Belal do to get more fans? Why don't you go fight undefeated Sean Brady in Abu Dhabi, fight backwards in the rankings, and maybe if you knock him out, we'll cheer for you. He does all of those things, and they still boo him. So he's leaned into it. Belal Muhammad has everything to win, everything to lose.
Muhammad extends his undefeated streak to 10 fights and wins by unanimous decision.
There's nothing that was going to stop me from walking to this cage tonight. There was nothing that was going to stop me from not doing it, because this was my chance. This was my moment to prove to the world and show the world what I'm capable of doing. And to do that, I know that there was no pulling out. There was nothing like, oh man, you know what, never mind. It was like, once I made the decision, we had to go through with it, and thank God we got through it.
You falling in love with your hands a little bit, man?
Nah, I love falling in love with proving people wrong. Like, people don't understand the work we put in. Me and my team, my guys, I'm working with the best team in the world. And people are gonna start asking us literally to write books. Like, man, what do you guys do for training? I get so many fighters, hey, what do you guys do with that drill? How do you guys drill like that? And it's like, we're doing the right things. I think we have the perfect mindset, the perfect team, the perfect guys around me, the perfect circle. And we showing you guys we can do anything. My last fight, I wanted to box. This fight, I wanted to kick. The last fight before that, I wanted to wrestle. The fight before that, I wanted to, maybe the next fight I'm gonna pull guard. I'm gonna show you guys that I can do it all. It's martial arts, mixed martial arts, and I can do all the mixing.
It is not Belal Muhammad's problem if Gilbert Burns gets hurt in that fight. All Belal Muhammad has done over the last, 3 weeks, right? He gets the phone call for this fight that we said in the lead up was an objectively bad decision for him to take this fight, right? It was very much like, you don't really need to be doing this right now. It felt very reactionary to what was going on with the Colby Covington situation. When Belal gets this call, he's in the middle of Ramadan still. And I don't know if y'all have ever done Ramadan. I grew up in a Muslim household. Ramadan is incredibly difficult. Fasting sunrise to sunset for weeks on end. He was the furthest thing from fight ready, I would imagine, when he gets this phone call. And it's, hey, everything you just put together over the past 5 years, this career best run, career defining run, really, your best thing that you're ever going to do in MMA over the past 5 years, we want you to wager it all, put all of that momentum on the line in 2.5 weeks against this absolute killer in Gilbert Burns, who I think all of us have immense respect for. And not only does he do it, he wants it to be 5 rounds, the whole thing, he put everything on the line. This was all in. Belal Muhammad cashed all his chips, all in for this. This was do or die for him. If he lost this fight tonight, regardless of what it looked like, it could have been the most controversial fight in the world, where something we all thought he won and he doesn't get the judge's call, whatever. He would have had to win 40 fights in a row to be ever considered for a UFC title shot again. And you know it, and I know it, and that's just the stark reality of this situation for Belal Muhammad. So the fact that he came in here, wagered everything, literally wagered his career basically on this opportunity that he super didn't need to take. It had a lot more downside to him than upside, and managed to come out here and actually, again, pull out the win that he needed to secure the title shot that should have already been his. Sensational. A+. I don't even care, man. I don't want to hear any negativity. I don't want to hear whether you thought it was boring or whatever. Doesn't matter. Dude came out here and has won, and all he has done is win. In 10 straight fights, unbeaten at this point. You can try to poke holes in it as much as you want. Dude is the right and proper #1 contender, and he deserves our respect.
September 16th, 2023. Noche UFC, Grasso versus Shevchenko 2, Las Vegas, Nevada. Jack Della Maddalena is booked in the co-main event against fan favorite Kevin Holland.
What are you expecting from him? Because he can sometimes, get a little bit of a rivalry going. He can be very cool. He's a bit of a wild box, let's say.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I don't really care. I'm coming to fight, so whatever happens leading up to it happens, but there's definitely going to be the time for fighting, so just waiting for that.
Yeah. And this is Noche UFC celebrating the Mexican Independence Day on September 16th. Obviously, you're not Mexican, but you do have some sort of a connection. Obviously, you're a great boxer, and given Mexico's history with boxing, wondering if you have any appreciation for Mexican culture and being on this card as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Mexican boxers. There's been some legendary ones, and yeah, I plan on getting into the inside and fighting in Mexican style.
Yeah.
Della Maddalena wins by split decision.
The last 2 fights weren't your typical JDM fights where you go out and get your opponent out of there inside the distance. But do you think you needed to go through fights like your last 2 in order to continue to develop?
Yeah, for sure. I think every fight you can pick things away, and especially when you get 3 rounds in, there's a lot more film to study and a lot more technical aspect you can work on, and just good experience.
And obviously you finally got your fight at the T-Mobile Arena that you've been asking for. How was this fight week for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome for it just to run smoothly, get to the fight, and then, yeah, it was the first time I've ever been in there, and it's a pretty impressive arena, and just being at the top there and looking down, it's a cool thing to tick off the list of things I've done.
It's a tough fight, man. That's another one. Could have gone either way, but I did have that 29-28, and it's a good bounce back for JDM. Though I do wonder if the last two have maybe slowed this roll a little bit, because it felt like we were getting hot and heavy with the JDM is going to be a future champion talk pretty hard after his first few UFC fights, and I think now maybe it is a moment to settle down on that. Like, he's certainly someone who's going to matter in this division, certainly, and he has a long way to go. He has a long future ahead of him. But I think this was a good indication that, hey, like, let's take some time here. This isn't something we need to rush.
This was a super disciplined fight from him, which, I think a lot of people guessed, and you could have guessed that he got an earful from his coaches at the end, because they were telling him during the fight, stop doing this dumb shit, man. And so, he went back to the well, and again, very, very disciplined performance. He clearly had stuff that he had worked on and was trying to do, and then trying to figure out this fight in a way that best benefited his skills. With Shaheen, I think Kevin Holland's approach to this fight was both good and bad. It was good in that it was a really competitive fight, and I think there is an argument that he won the fight, but I was really confident. We were talking about on the Slack that the judges would not score this fight. I scored it for JDM. And I think the way that Kevin Holland was fighting was not conducive to success for most people, because the optics are pretty poor.
March 9th, 2024. UFC 299. O'Malley versus Vera 2, Miami, Florida. Jack Della Maddalena is booked on the pay-per-view main card against former title challenger Gilbert Durinho Burns.
Yeah, I think Gilbert's a good fighter. He's obviously battle tested. He's very tough. He's durable, and he's been in there with some of the best. So, yeah, I definitely expect the challenge.
And for you, I guess, what do you feel like's at stake here, right? He's a guy that's always hanging out at the top, ready for a title shot, kind of right there. So, what would a win over him do for you in your career?
Yeah, it's a big one for me. He's a top 5. I think this is. I feel like if you can't beat Gilbert Burns, you can't become a world champion. So my plan is to beat Gilbert Burns and prove that I belong in the top 5.
After dropping the first 2 rounds and on his way to losing the third and final round, Della Maddalena lands a big knee to Burns and finishes him by ground and pound. The victory moves JDM's UFC record to 7-0 with 5 finishes and now 5 performance bonuses.
JDM is just getting buried right now.
Yeah, it's over.
That hook. This is just good stuff from Gilbert right here.
Go on, Jack. Go, Jack.
He tried to do
Go,
too much.
Jack. Let's go.
He tried to do too much.
Oh, big knee. Go. Oh, go.
No.
Oh, Jackie. Here we go. Jackie, finish him. Donnie G. Donnie G. Donnie G, stop the fight.
What are you doing?
Don Giacomo.
This is over.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Woo. I ain't completely given up.
Good for you, my man.
Let's go. Why did I ever doubt the kid?
He killed him. Like that was just.
That was unbelievable. I thought they were gonna stay there stuck for the last minute and 50 seconds.
Yeah, because if Gilbert just sat there and tried not to improve his position,
wow,
that was how the fight was gonna end.
Did you see that pessimism work right there?
That was so good.
I buried myself and we just came out the other side.
Ah, good for you.
Let's go, Donnie G, baby!
July 27th, 2024. UFC 304. Edwards versus Muhammad 2, Manchester, England. After over a year away from competition, Belal Muhammad is set to challenge the welterweight champion of the world, Leon Edwards, as the main event for the pay-per-view card.
You said yesterday you don't rate him as highly as you do Usman or Colby Covington. So what exactly does beating him on Saturday do for your legacy as a welterweight champion?
Keep that same energy you had Saturday. You guys are gonna be real disappointed. Boo me now. Boo me now. Saturday, my family, my people are gonna be cheering.
We don't want to hear that shit.
You know, you've been very open with how much you hate Leon. Does it annoy you that Leon isn't really batting an eyelid in terms of his emotions towards this fight? He isn't fazed at all.
It doesn't matter. What matters is Saturday night. I'm gonna be battering his face. That's what's gonna be battering Saturday night. So all this energy doesn't really mean anything. Keep streaming that. I want that same energy. I want you guys to give him confidence because Saturday night, your boy's gonna get headshot dead. You guys are gonna have to wake him up. I want you guys to be this loud Saturday night at 5 a.m. so he wakes up. You're gonna be his alarm clock.
For the 5th time in a row, Muhammad enters the fight as the betting underdog and is victorious. Belal Muhammad is now the brand new UFC welterweight champion.
All of Palestine was watching. Obviously, it's a very difficult time right now. How much pressure did that put on you?
It wasn't pressure. It was, for me, I just wanted, like, it just showed me how, like, really this fight wasn't important. It wasn't that big because they're fighting for their lives. They're dying every single day. I woke up today and you're seeing people dying, and it's telling you how small the sport is, how small this fight is. So when I sit there and I stress out about it, it's like, it's just a fight. It's 25 minutes, but I'm still gonna go see my family after this. I'm still gonna go eat what I want to eat after this. They're starving over there. They're dying over there. So for me, if I give them some sort of attention, if I give them a smile on their face for getting this win, if I can make them not think about what hell they're going through in those 25 minutes, in this 10 minutes, then I did something right. I did my job. If I get somebody to, bring more attention to them, want to learn more about what's happening over there, it's just about educating. And I'm just hoping that I could use this platform, use my voice, use this title to bring more attention there. And inshallah, one day, Palestine will be free. I think I'm the best fighter in the world. I know I'm the best fighter in the world. I just had to prove it, and I had to show you guys. We had 3 years to sit there, and I had to sit there and dwell on that thing, that last fight of everybody saying, oh, he would have beat him. He would have won the last other rounds. He would have did this. He would have did that. We didn't even get started that fight. This fight, we got started. This is what we did. We just dominated the champion. We made it look easy, and we did it better than Kobe did, better than Usman did, and they're national champ wrestlers. They're this, and this. We went to Bogan High School. Shout out to Lou Taylor. And I've literally never turned down a fight. I never backed down from anybody. I've had so many people turn down fights against me. So now I'm at the top. I'm the man. And for me, now cementing my legacy as the best welterweight to ever do it. I'm not going to sit there and call out these random guys and everything. Who's next in line? Who's the best in line? And I'm going to show you what I am, what I could do. They thought Leon could walk through me. Now I'm going to walk through all these other guys. It took me 3 years to get that taste out of my mouth. 3 years to finally get this fight back. And I had to deal with all the haters and all the trolls and everybody saying that he would have beat me, he would have did this, he would have did that. But now there's nothing else for them to say.
In your mind, what would it take for you to leapfrog GSP? Just pass his title defense record? Is it finishes? What else do you have to do?
I think beating this next generation of guys, right? You have Shavkat, you have Ian Gary, you have the JDM. So there's these young up-and-comers that everybody's saying are killers. They're probably still saying these guys are going to kill me next, right? So if I go out there and I walk through all these guys and then I beat the old generation, I just want to be the guy that did everything that you said I couldn't do. And then if we go up, if what's his name, Driscus still has the title, he beats what's his face, Adesanya, and he was trying to talk tough to me, I'll go smack him around, try to get 2 belts.
The story of this fight is Belal Muhammad. You guys know me. I hate the phrase "silence the haters." I think that is very stupid. Belal gets that. Like, Belal gets to carry that mantle with him and be like, yeah, a lot of people doubted me, and wrong. Like, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. Remember, I didn't even promise I was going to finish him because I knew that I can't finish him. I'm immune to that, but I can win a dominant decision over him, and he did just that. So full credit to Belal. I think I certainly just want to come from this of, hey, man, stand up, talk your shit. It's your moment. Shine, baby.
May 10th, 2025, UFC 315, Muhammad versus Della Maddalena, Montreal, Canada. Belal Muhammad will defend his UFC welterweight title for the first time against the Australian striker riding a 17-fight win streak, Jack Della Maddalena, as the main event in Montreal, Canada.